So yes, we're talking about where do we go next in this last call, which is crazy because the amount of people that don't ask me advice ever, it's nuts. As many questions I do get on stuff like Instagram, I encourage clients, Pete, by the way, ask me more questions to further your learning. We're going to discuss further learning today anyway. To further your learning for your own experience, you maximize the time. I always say to people, try and drain me of my knowledge, because that's the point. That's when you should finish working with someone, because there's nowhere further they can take you on your goals, on your journey, and then potentially work with someone else. Or you go off on your own, which is what many clients do. They're like, I feel like I've got this now. You've taught me enough that I can train myself, which is my job complete ultimately. It's not to get you lean for holiday and then you go on holiday, you gain a stone back, but before you know it, you're back to where you started, because all you know is your unhealthy habits and how to lose weight. I've not taught you anything how to sustain it or actually be healthy. I failed, and that's ultimately I failed. And coaches do really need to start seeing it as that. As we've not succeeded unless a client knows how to do the stuff that we've taught them through. Realistically, at least to some degree, you need to be able to get yourself back to that destination. So if you do gain weight back, you have to get it off again. And like Pete's understood this, like managing social occasions was a huge one. When it was like, wow, how do I manage his social occasions when his calories were pretty low, pushing him hard, he was training for an Ironman, as well as training normally. How do we manage everything around that? And he's got a busy work schedule. It's like, this guy was fucking kicking everyone's ass most of the year in terms of the effort he was putting in and the output and the calories and everything. It's a hard graft. And it's like, well, how do we do that? And how do we do that on your own? Which is why obviously you work with me to try and say, how the hell do I manage all this, Chris? I want to do these two things: get in shape, look muscular, and do the Ironmans and get fit. It's quite conflictive, so okay, we manage it well. But that's obviously why I want to discuss it today. So if I screen share, I'd say the slides. First slide, we go. What do we do when progress stops? It's what most people struggle with. They'll go to the gym. Oh, that's actually stuck on at the bottom. That's not as meant to come on last. It's one of the variables. So where do we go when progress stops? You know, a lot of people they'll end up just making some progress for a few months when they're initially in the gym, because anything will progress at that point. It's a novel stimulus. So if you've gone from unhealthy lifestyle and you start training, you've adjusted a variable. You've added training in, it didn't exist. You've then maybe cleaned up your diet a little bit as a result of the fact you're now going to the gym. So you're going to see progress for a while. But then what happens when it stops? Because it's not going to continue forever. Your body's going to adapt. And then you get stuck. And most people just lose their mind, or just end up in this cycle where they kind of go into a surplus for a bit and then a deficit for a bit, but they never actually get any further with the physique. And realistically, we want our bodies to be changing every year, even if it's just on the performance level. So stuff like, I know I teach spin on a Monday. I still try and get a higher calorie score. So I'm still trying to progress it, and it makes it more enjoyable for me. Like, I'm competing against my previous best every time. What's my benchmark? And that's what I'm trying to chase. So at the very least, I'll perform really well and have a really good session because I know how hard I have to work. Or even better, if I can beat it, I have a mini win. I'm like, yes, I beat it. And it can be the same when you're logging your training, that a lot of enjoyment can come from the fact you're beating your previous best. You know, and you've had a wicked session. Because some people are so focused on the big goals, they forget the mini wins. Mini wins, like, I got my steps today. Yes. Stuck to my calories today. Yes, great training session today. And then you finish the day going, I'm really proud of myself today. And that's when the self-pride starts to come in. Just because you've ticked the boxes. And then you'll be making progress. And like I said, then the progress will stop. And what's your goals first? You need to ask yourself, if you were doing this yourself, obviously I would do this for people most of the time, but what are the goals at the moment? So if you're trying to lose body fat, gain muscle, that would dictate the next question in terms of what variables have we got to adjust and where are we currently with those variables? So for example, we've just said someone's coming to the gym, they weren't training at all, they were eating shit, they've cleaned up the diet, they've then started training, it's a novel stimulus, they're getting good results from it, okay, then it stops. So we can adjust training, make the training more intense most of the time from what I've learned from my experience, training more intense, technique better. I know me and Juan have worked back and forth a lot of videos in the past, but it's like I need training videos and we need to try and work through them. Because although it is better if I'm physically there in person, there's less and less available these days because most good in-person personal trainers are now taking the skills and doing this and reaching a broader audience. But it's took them away from the gym floor. And it's why I want to obviously have the gym and do in-person stuff, because then we do this in person instead. And then we can go through training stuff. Because there's so many people that can have room for improvement. And when you have people that already have a good baseline knowledge, then we can do the fun shit, the really complicated fun shit. I'm not teaching the basics of how to do a bodyweight squat or a bench press. That's like, you know what I mean? So when we start doing the more advanced training, it's not only more enjoyable for me, but more enjoyable for you guys, because you're learning loads of stuff every time. Because it can get stale for a long time. You go, oh, I feel like I'm just doing the same thing here. But then if you move the goalpost and you start trying to get a more advanced level, then we've got to do more advanced stuff. And it's understanding, like I said, where are our current variables? So then we have them to adjust. And realistically, the main variables we have, expenditure, so that's cardio, steps, everything else, your normal calorie expenditure that you would get just from being alive. That's not really a variable we adjust, but it's a variable that's there we have to factor in. We then have calories going in and out. And then we have drugs, really. They're the main ones, and our training. So if someone's not enhanced, obviously we take that away. We haven't got that option. But we still have all the other variables. And that's what people forget. They think that they always need drugs. It's like, actually, no. Most of the time, you need to fix the other variables. As I should have done when I was younger. Shouldn't have started taking steroids when I was 19. Way too young. And I know now that my training was okay. My diet was okay. And my sleep was okay. If I'd improved all those, I would have got way further anyway. You know, it's just, I didn't know then, but this is why I'm doing this stuff now, to help you guys. You know, if you're going to go down that route, we'll do it properly. If you just want goals that can be achieved naturally, then we do them naturally, and don't mess with your hormones and put yourself at that risk. Because it's a roller coaster that you start to go on then. So next we go. So these are the things we could potentially do. So we could potentially, depending on your goals and what variables we've got to play with and where they are, you know, if for example, you're dieting and calories are really, really low, maybe it's not a good choice to go calories lower. Maybe we go expenditure up. We do more steps, we do more cardio, because if we drop your calories too low, your bodily functions will start to slow down and your health will suffer. But ultimately, we will hit a point where things start to go backwards. It's the same when you're pushing food up and trying to gain muscle. Things start to go backwards, you start to gain too much body fat, and you just aren't responding in the way that you should. So then what do we do? Again, we need to know where we are with the variables. So then we can potentially do the opposite. If your body's getting tired, it will. You know, digestion's still an organ, it starts to get burnt out. If you start to get tired pushing the food up and pushing the training hard and everything else, the first thing we do is deload, take a deload, bring the training down to a lower level that's less intense for a week or so, or take full rest is what I tend to do. I'll go away, take some full rest for a few days, come back fully refreshed. So I've got my physical energy back. And then is it a case of I can then continue dieting because my physical energy was low? Or is it the fact I need to put food up because I've just been in a deficit for so damn long, my body's just not responding anymore and it's just falling to bits, which often happens at the end of a bodybuilding prep. That's what often stops people. Yes, they're physically tired, physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted, but your body just starts to look withered away. You've been in a deficit for months and months and months, and you just need to rest and eat, but not eat to excess, which is where I've gone wrong in the past. It was like, I need to eat. No, actually, you just need to get out of a deficit, man, and just let your body rest. So basically go to the maintenance and sleep for a week or two, and then your body will come back. But it's knowing that, and that's when my job comes in of going, right, there's questions I need to ask to try to determine exactly what we need to adjust, so then we can make the right judgment call at the right time. And it's a reactive process. It's why coaching maybe doesn't make sense, and that's why I wanted to talk through it so you guys can understand, like, how do you coach yourself? How does someone coach you? What would a good coach look like? You know, if you are working with someone, what's that look like? If they're not doing any of this stuff, you go, this is a shit coach. And then you're able to spot that because you've got some knowledge. Where at the moment we've got some cowboys in the industry with no knowledge, they've got no skills on the gym floor, they don't know how to help people properly, and they're genuinely not trying to help people properly. Well, we need to be able to spot them and see, right, if I'm going to spend a load of money on myself, invest some money on myself, it better be fucking worth it. So if not, I will learn to this stuff myself and I will do it myself, because honestly, with some of the coaches out there these days, you are better on your own than you are paying them money. So, like I say, there's all these things to adjust. Adjust expenditure, adjusting training, taking a deload potentially to get your recovery back, let your body just catch up. Maybe taking a diet, going into a diet to let your digestion rest. So a great way, if food's been pushed high, which we all start to struggle at different points, you just go, right, I'm going to pull food down and increase expenditure, drop some fat off anyway, get a little bit leaner, but also become really sensitive to food again. So then when you go to leverage food back up, adjust a variable, then it has a better response and your body's absorbing it well and doing the right things with it. So if you go in one direction too long, it'll just start to slow down. And what I found the best progress is doing this undulating, long gaining phase, keeping it conservative so I don't gain too much fat, which is what I used to do in the past, get really fat and then got a diet off. Do like a 6-week diet fast, more aggressively than you would do on a long-term diet, get a decent chunk off, then do another long gaining phase. And then you could partner that with a longer diet, say it was summer. A lot of us want to look good, we've got holidays and stuff in summer, so we don't do 6 weeks by that point, we do a little bit longer. But because we've done those little diet breaks in between, we've not gone too far away from our lean physique. So we've made good progress, but we've not blown it, and we were basically a fat guy with muscles, which is what I used to turn myself into. And now I've got 6 months of dieting ahead of me just to look reasonable again. And at that point, you're exhausted, your physique's dead. It's just, and it's not conducive to progress. Those extra calories are not needed. We need to be in a surplus to get the best out of our results in terms of training, but it doesn't need to be a 2,000, 3,000 calorie surplus that you're just getting fat. Because energy has to go somewhere. If it's not burnt, it's stored. So, well, if we 2,000 over, it's getting stored. And the fatter you've been in the past, the easier it will get stored and the more capacity you have to store. I've learned that from the fact of these tummy tucks, pulled a lot of body fat out, and that area doesn't really gain fat anymore because the cell's not there. And you see how the proportions are completely shifted on our body. So if you've never been fat, you're in a very advantageous position. For a lot of us, we have that midriff, and I've changed my opinion very much so on the idea of surgery. If someone gets that point, listen, we're trying to bring out your best physique, and it's changed my life, haven't mine. And tonight was the first time that anyone's ever noticed a scar in 2 years. And it's like, oh, what's that from? It's like, oh, I had a tummy tuck. It's on YouTube. The whole thing's documented. Not only I went twice, I had a revision. But do you know what? Like how hard it was? I would have rather not got in that position in the first place by being fat, but I did. I was young. But then by changing that and getting a few thousand on the operation, because I went to another country, it was cheaper, it's changed my life. So if it comes to that, and it's something that's really important, so many guys are getting the hair replacements, getting things like tummy tucks, gyno surgery. It's the most common ones in men. Laser hair removal, I need as well, because this is just horrible. But you're trying to feel fucking awesome, and these are all bits that are relative. Same as getting a haircut, dressing well, present yourself well. These are all things that when you look yourself in the mirror, you think, yeah, I feel good. Because most guys don't. Most guys do not. They look in the mirror and they're ashamed of what they see in front of them. But how can you ever do anything in your life if that's how you feel when you look at yourself? So you should look at yourself with pride, going, I built this. This is my hard work, looking back at me. And with fucking pride, because you know what you put into it. But the thing is, if you know that you've been lazy and undisciplined, and you've eaten shit, and you've let yourself off, and you've not stuck to your goals, you will look in the mirror and you will see that instantly in the reflection. That's what the reflection tells you. Of course you're going to feel shit, because you know what you've been doing. You are embarrassed, you are ashamed of yourself, because you've not lived a healthy life, you've not took care of yourself. But then the opposite is also true. And because I've seen that, because I was that guy. And I'm now the guy that takes really good care of himself, presents himself well, takes pride in the person that I am, takes pride in the way I show up to people. And if I'm not that person, as we've discussed in one of the previous calls, on a Wednesday I was turning up stressed and tired, I was getting pissed off at myself. So like, I'm better than this, and these guys deserve better from me than this. So I need to show up better, which is when I've thought, oh, how do I do that? I need to go home, I need to sleep. What variables do I need to adjust? I need to rest, I need to bring my stress down. And I need to make sure that I've got enough time so I'm not dead late, and I'm showing up with fucking energy, and I walk in the room and they're happy to see me, not dreading the fact that I'm become this temperamental person that's not me. So, you do see a massive change in your life when you start to become the person you're supposed to be. And you live that life with a fucking smile on your face because you're authentically you. You can't be anyone else. You're the person you're supposed to be. Just maximize that. If you're funny, be funny. If you're smart, be smart. If you're nice, be nice. It's just those things. Like, I would like to be funnier. No, I'm not that funny. No, but I'm really, really loving. I'm really loving, really caring, pretty smart. So those are things I've leaned into instead. Just gone, well, these are my strengths and they're pretty good attributes, so I'm just going to go with them. And since I've done that and lived my life authentically, I'm a hell of a lot happier. The relationships around me are amazing, and life is better. And that's what I'm encouraging people to do. That's my mission, to live your life and be the person you're supposed to be. But where would you go next? Obviously, we've discussed adjusting the variables, and then where would you go at this point? So before I actually go into this, does anyone have any questions that they want to just ask? So no, I've just monologued there for about 20 minutes. So if anyone's got any questions? No? We're all good? Right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna move through this into where we go next and all the different options you'd have. And then I'm gonna give you a take home as in the Google Drive. I'm gonna put in the template that you can use if you've never set up your own training and you don't know a way to set it up. Like we said, the app is better, and there are some apps that you can use for free as well. Obviously, if you guys work with me, the app is the one we use now because Pete's been using that, and it's far better when you're on the gym floor. It's to track your training stuff, and that app is getting better and better and better over time. That's why I went with them. By the end of the year, they will be the best training app to have. But if not, you can still have the Google Sheets, or you can still have an old school logbook if you want it. But to have the Google Sheet that I used to track, and I used to track myself, to have that as a template, and you can put stuff on there just to record what you're doing, and then it's just to get an awareness of what you need, like how many calories you need, how many steps you need, like all these things, and starting to learn your body because you need to. You should know what your body needs and then provide it. And most people just don't, and that's why they're angry all the time, and that's why they feel like shit. Well, stuff's actually, you just got to learn the stuff. That's why we're here. And then obviously, if people want to continue their learning, we go into all these different options. So further education for the first one. Most of my education these days is on YouTube for free. So the information's there. It's just knowing what to look for. And it's literally been my biggest learning resource the last 6 years of my career. And it started off with the drive to work. I had something on the drive to work. And then I just basically went and started subscribing to more channels. And I go down my subscriptions list. And obviously the algorithms are really good on YouTube, so it'll recommend me stuff that's relevant as well that I'm learning about. Go down my subscription list and I'll add stuff to the watch later from like the last 2 days. And then I'll go and watch the later list and I'll start looking through stuff. And that's been it. And that's basically been how I've changed as a person. I've just watched loads of YouTube videos, interviews and wise words from other people and took action on them. So anyone can do that. And I encourage, regardless if someone's working with me, I say like, you need to do your own learning as well to progress your own journey essentially. And other than that, we've got Instagram obviously for short ones. TikTok's a bit, obviously I don't use TikTok, you guys know that. It's a bit shit, I say. It's really short, and obviously I like the long form. I like to be able to explain things in depth. So I'm now trying to go to YouTube so I can do long videos for those who want more detail, not less detail on TikTok. But ultimately, there's still tips on TikTok. There's education on Instagram. There's definitely education on YouTube. And there's courses as well. So you could join any kind of courses like we are sat on right now. A free 5-day course to help you guys just learn a little bit more about what you need to do to improve your life. So there's always these options available. And I encourage anyone to take any of them, any chance you get. Because I always thought this when I first started Pure Gym, they did loads of courses. I was like, why are we doing these courses? This is stupid. But then when I started I was like, it's free. And I'm learning stuff that is beneficial. And when I started to see it as that, even if it was a shit topic, I was like, but I'm going to come away with some more knowledge and it's free. So let's take it. People would charge for this. Someone's had to pay for it, but we've got it free. So let's take advantage. And you'd have people tutting and disagreeing. And the instructor just go, mate, if you don't want to be here, just go. Like, it's free. Go away. Like people, other people, you're distracting other people. They want to be here and take advantage. So as I started doing that, I go on every single course I possibly can. And that's really helped as well. Help me find other people, help me network, help me really improve in different ways than I would have done. But if nothing else, it gets me fired up. And this isn't just training stuff, by the way. It's like I've done business stuff and in just general networking courses. But you come away from there like really G'd up because everyone's in there to do better. And many of the people around you in your life won't be. They're just kind of like comfortably numb, coasting along, existing, not living, not really trying to move forward in any way. So then to be around a group of people like that, all of a sudden you think, wow, I feel like I want to do more. And that can be the thing that triggers you to start setting the goals, to start working towards. Because now you're out with you realize how toxic your environment is on the everyday basis. Sometimes at work, you maybe not be able to change your immediate people around you, but you can potentially change the rest. Take control of the rest of your life. So I know I keep using Pete as a reference because here, but he's got 2 housemates who are like children, 2 big children. And then it's like, well, he has to take control of that situation and lead the situation. And if it comes to it and they start to be really toxic to that environment, you've got to remove them from it because it's your environment. And if you can't remove yourself in some way, if it's bad enough, you remove the other people. and
They
become.
pay me rent though, Sandy.
Yeah, they do pay you rent. They can still be replaced. If they were really bad, you can still replace them. You can find someone else. It still sounds like quite a fun place to live, to be fair. But yeah, it's like I've really realised that, which is what was covered on the fly on day one. At the start of 2021, me and Amy broke up, and it was like, right, I'm definitely not happy, and I started just removing. Well, after the conversation with Jasper at the end of 2020 in my spare bedroom was a defining moment of my life. He was like angry all the time, and I didn't actually say exact words the other day when he was on. It was like, you're angry all the time. Even Katie's noticed it. Katie is his girlfriend, and she was just watching my Instagram stories. We were in lockdown, and she was saying, Chris is just angry all the time. I don't want to watch his stories anymore. And that was like, boom. It's like your child saying it. Imagine, Nick, if one of your kids said it, and you're just like, oh my God. Like, I need to do something about this. And that's like, this is someone who's like a dead, sweet, innocent person. She said it from a place of love. He's come to it from a place of love. And just like, you need to sort your shit out, basically, because you're just being a horrible person. Like, not disgustingly horrible, but not a negative. And people don't want to be around you when you're like that. You need to sort it out. And I sat there and I was so upset when he left because it was true. And I had to face the harsh reality that no, I am being angry. I need to fix this. I need to work on myself. And then I started removing loads of stuff from my life, and started putting positive things into my life, like the education, the courses, even if it was just positive talk, as in, I don't know, I was learning about emotional intelligence, and there's some podcasts that they're just really wise people listen to and think, wow, that was really powerful. I took a lot of good life advice from that last 2 hours and stuff. And that was the big defining moment. I spent the start of 2021 just removing loads of stuff. And then I was like so happy all the time because I was like, all the negative shit's kind of gone. And I just removed it from my environment. And it didn't necessarily mean I'm blocking people. I just stopped kind of speaking to people, just kind of remove them. It's like, I just want to spend less time with you because when I'm around you, I don't feel too good. I don't like the person I am. You bitch and moan, negative, that kind of stuff. But then someone else, hopefully that you've met now because you're becoming a better person, is positive. When you're around them, you feel good. You leave an interaction with them feeling better. That's who you should be surrounding yourself with, those kind of people that want the best for you. They're helping you do better. They're holding you accountable for your stuff as well. And when you're around them, you just feel great. You're excited to see them. You always get a good feeling around them. And once you become the person you're supposed to be, it's a hell of a lot easier to find those people. Because those people definitely don't want negative people around them either. So you've got to be good in yourself to be around them in the first place. And then what I've noticed is I just found more and more people like that because I'm nice to be around. I'm a nice person. I wasn't when I was angry. So that's a long-winded explanation of further courses. So you could also use templates to further your learning and understand where to go next. So I'm going to give you the template, like I said, I use for all my old clients. So Jake's had it before, but it's changed since he last used it. And obviously we don't use it anymore, but it's still a good way to track everything. I'll leave some training plans on there as well for you guys. And then you're able to just work through. I can always do some tutorial videos as well on certain aspects of it of like, okay, this is how you program this, just so you can go back and watch. I think that'll be quite beneficial as well. And then you can use it for your own login, and then you've got sort of take home for all this and to put it all together. So you can coach yourself and hopefully gain enough knowledge, especially over time, to be able to coach yourself, to live a fit, healthy life and continue your education through stuff like YouTube, Instagram, everything else, and still make progress. Because that's where we want to get to. And with a bit of baseline knowledge, you can. It takes time, but like it's just the fact that most people that I've noticed don't have the basic knowledge of even understanding like the mechanics of training. They don't understand like how muscles may be targeted, so they're just kind of throwing weights around. They don't know how many calories they're eating, so they're just kind of eating anything. They're told to eat a lot when they're on a bulk, so they're eating junk food and burgers. And it's just the basics then. We get to do the basics well and you'll start to see a better result. And then we start to be more advanced because you're at the advanced level. And your education changes, whether it's working with someone like me, it will change over time if you want to progress. If it's on YouTube, it will literally feed you the other information. As I would. That'll do it as well. The algorithms are set up that way. So you will progress your education over time. You could do group coaching. So obviously with this kind of a group that we're doing right now, and there's a lot of things like this emerging, especially now we've got an online world. So people are connected from, they're not necessarily geographically connected, but they can connect online and still become friends, share relationships, and build relationships, which, that's why I moved on with Zoom, my consultation calls to Zoom because it was actually more convenient to people. We could have longer time, people more relaxed, and it's not much different to being in person. Although I do still feel in-person stuff's important, especially if you're working from home on your own, which some people are. Training with someone, seeing people, like that becomes more important as well. So you could also do one-to-one coaching, which obviously I offer one-to-one coaching. So, you know, if anyone does want to really further their learning and has some big goals they want to set out, that's always the best option to take, just because you'll get there faster. You know, it took me, what, 10 years plus to get somewhere, 15 years to get somewhere good. I could get someone there in a couple of years. It's more the time it takes to develop the physique, not the time it takes to develop the knowledge to develop the physique, because that's then 10 plus years. When people say to me, how long have you been training? I say, it's 20 years in March. And they go, oh my God, 20 years. It's like, yeah, but you could look at this a lot faster with someone like me teaching you how to get there. You don't have to take 20 years. So it's you go up to the roof. Yeah, so it's just deciding where to go and what's the best option for you. And then guys, from there, I just want to do an open Q&A to finish off and say, and also before you say anything, say thank you for your attendance this last few days. It's been really valuable for me as well to be able to teach you guys, see some old faces as well. It's been really nice. And just to be able to share some of the lessons I've learned, and especially since I've not seen some of you in some time, lessons I've learned in the time that we've been apart. Hopefully it's really helped you all to develop your journeys a little bit further. So,
yeah, no, I've been grateful for all of these meetings. I've soaked quite a lot of information up.
Yeah. No, thanks a lot, Chris. It's a good thing to do at the start of the year as well. You've kick-started me to get back on my fitness pal, track my calories and things. So yeah, and the fact that you're not charging us for this is really kind of you. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, and just so you know, it is 1:41 in the afternoon. I've not been to bed yet, and I've stayed up to do this. I'm committed. I'm committed to you guys. Genuinely committed. I put those two to bed, and then I was like, right, now they're asleep, I will come in here and start working. I was like, oh my God, let's wake up. It's got a lot of work to do. So.
Chris, I had a very quick question. One thing I've been doing, is getting back on my fitness pal, tracking the calories, and I've realised that just over 80 kilos to get in 160 grams of protein in a day is quite difficult unless you're having protein shakes. What are some of the kind of quick, easy things when you get into the end of the day and you think, fuck, I need to up the protein quite a lot here?
Well,
what are your go-to foods?
Well, instead of giving you answers, I'd say the first thing is, how are you structuring your meals? So in your head, if you're thinking, right, I need to make my lunches, what am I gonna, how would I put it together? What's like, what? Because the way you construct it is the most important thing, because that would lead to a better result. Because some people are just like, well, they put a random thing together. Whereas if we have a little bit more structure, that can answer the question. So how do you actually structure your meals so far? What's led you to put them the way they are? Is there any structure? Are you just going off calories and deciding what you want? Like, talk me through it.
I think it's probably the breakfast, right? I was getting up, having a bagel, banana, and then realizing actually there's not much protein in that. So when you come to your lunch and dinner, you're like playing catch up because you haven't hit as much protein at the start of the day as you could have done.
Egg whites and bagels are quite a nice combo.
Yeah.
Half a bagel as well. There you go. What I do, half a bagel.
Yeah, you could actually do bagel thins as well, which are a bit shit compared to a bagel, but you feel like you're having more. If you put it on a plate, it looks at first glance like you're having the same, because obviously they're half the size, so stuff like that. But I'd say the first thing, Nick, is we should always base our meals around a protein source. And yes, they will tell you for general population, as long as you're getting protein in for the day, it doesn't really matter. And listen, if your training is miles off where it needs to be and it's not super intense and stimulating muscles, then we are splitting hairs to say, well, am I getting enough protein in? Because the training is the most important thing. Always the most important thing. And that's where I see some people are so consistent and the training's shit and they don't make progress. And we push them a little bit harder, improve the technique, and it starts to move. If you're in a calorie surplus, you'll just get fat. If you're in deficit, you'll just lose weight, but you won't actually progress your physique. But then it's coming into, okay, we also don't want to just lose weight. We want to lose body fat. So it's maintaining muscle. Getting the protein is really important. So we start each meal with, if we're trying to do what we're trying to do is in terms of how to have a good physique, we start each meal with a protein source. mean, for example, we took a survival bag to the festival because we drove there. So we drove earlier to avoid the traffic, even though there wasn't a traffic today, so it's fine. But I was like, right, well, what do we need? So I'm thinking, okay, what do I need? I need some food. I'm going to be out all night. So I'm then trying to build, okay, I had to go for what proteins have we got in the house that won't perish in the hot if I leave it in the car? So chicken and stuff's out. Have we got any protein powder? Could I have a protein shake? So it's thinking about it like this, like, okay, well, I'm probably gonna need protein. If I've been there that long and we've had no food at all, probably gonna need some carbohydrates just because I'm gonna be a little bit depleted. I'm gonna need some water. It's like, it's just thinking about it like this, of like, what would your body actually require? And that's when I understand, like, starting to understand what you need. So if we always put a protein source in, and unless I'm gonna have protein powder and cereal together, I will always put a vegetable source in. And that just aids digestion, gives more nutrient profiles, everything else. It's never a bad thing to add some vegetables to your meal, but most people eat like children and won't eat them. But like a child, just mash it all up together. My meal is just a bowl. I think, Pete, have you ever seen me eating food? And it's just like a mess.
I've seen it before. It's in a big, normally a square box.
But
you drink cold coffee as well?
I have been known to drink cold coffee. I get told off for it all the time. But that's more a convenience thing. I'm like, I just need to get the caffeine in right now. But coffees are actually quite nice when you do it properly. But yeah, like it's based on every meal around protein. So if I'm going to go out for the day, like I'll just think, well, okay, I need, for me, it's 250 grams of meat I'll always have per, so it doesn't matter if it's chicken or beef. That's like a rule that I stick by to construct any diet for me. So if you do the same for you guys, it's like 175 or 200 grams of meat. If you did that in every meal, you did 4 meals a day, you'll hit that target quite well. And then same with the protein shakes. You know, if you're having a protein shake, I tend to not have a shake on its own, just because it doesn't do much. If you're trying to get loads of calories in, maybe, but most of the time you don't really do much with it. So you end up just hungry at the end, and that's why I'll put it pre-workout with my cereal, and that's a great pre-workout meal. It fuels me well. It's light on my stomach, and I have a great workout. So that for me is a great option, but it's also an option if I didn't have to bring any protein powder with me, but it would have been in the car. Because that's like, well, that's an option I can have in the car for when we get back from in this hot temperature, and I can just put water in it, mix it, and we go. And that will fill the need of the protein that I need, the carbohydrates that I need, even a bit of fiber that I need that will help my digestion, and even some water. So it fills all those needs. And if we're just thinking about it like that, like for example, some of the guys don't prepare pre-workout meals properly, and they come in the gym and they're sluggish. So it's like, okay, well, I know I'm going to be training at 6 o'clock. So at about 5, maybe 4:35, I'm going to have a meal to make sure that it's digested enough for that session to be fueled, and that meal would contain protein and some carbohydrates. That's the most important meal to contain carbohydrates because it's pre-training. You know, unless you're training fasted in the morning, then that pre-training meal, put it 90 minutes before. So the time of that is dictated whenever your bloody training time is. So for me, it moves around. Depends if I'm training in the afternoon, training in the evening, that pre-workout meal will then change. But it's the same meal. It just changes place in the day. And it's always constructed around the same thing. And you'll find the easiest way I found for this lifestyle is find meals that you enjoy, and then it's easy to stick to them. So it's usually something that's easy to prepare, that's cheap to buy, and that is enjoyable to eat. And so that for me, it's like, I started eating whole chickens at the moment. I cook a whole chicken. It's £5, extra large chicken. That will do me like 4 meals. Okay, so I've got 4 meals straight away for £5, and I get some lettuce. I sometimes have, I don't have bagels because they mess up my digestion, so I have crumpets or rice. And I like having burger sauce at the minute. I don't know why I put burger sauce on the top, which I told Pete, tastes like McDonald's Big Macs, because it's something with the lettuce and the burger sauce combination. But I've just found a liking for that, and I eat that usually twice a day because it's really easy to prep. It doesn't take me away from work. It's really cheap. It hits most of the targets I'm trying to hit, and we can see, oh, this is easy. And it's finding that for each person. Food you digest well, you can prep easy, you don't mind eating quite repetitively, especially when you're working. It's just part of your routine. You can take it to work. It's easy to carry. Like all these things make this lifestyle easy. Some people make it so hard, like they'll have every meal different, and you're like, you made this well complicated. I'm standing in the kitchen cooking for 2 hours every night. I don't do that. Not anymore. I used to when I was a student at 18 years old. Nick, when we first started, I did every meal fresh. I remember you came to my house and we had chicken and rice before training once with Nando sauce on, when I lived in Headingley, and it was at the kitchen downstairs. But I used to cook every meal.
Camilla.
Fresh. Yeah,
Is that her name? Camilla.
Yeah, we all the girls. There's 2 Camillas actually. But I used to be in the kitchen for about 3 hours a day. I don't have that kind of time, or I definitely don't care that much to be in 3 hours unless I really love cooking. I'm making it as fast as possible now. So now I cook every 2 days and I put a chicken in the oven. That's the main bit I cook. Or I use a slow cooker and put even more in it. And that's most of my meals. I don't even really use a hob. Don't stand over cooking anything. And that's really helped me stick to this lifestyle even more because it's just effortless now. And the easier you can make it, the easier it is to stick to. And like I said, it's just if you base meals around protein source, vegetable sauce, carbohydrate sauce, so that's like chicken, beef, eggs, whatever we want to have. And then we've got potatoes, rice, cereals, anything like that in the middle, and the carbohydrates, and then vegetables, salads, other vegetables you want to cook. You can even get the cook in the bag microwave bags that I often had. They cook in 5 minutes. So it's not effort. I'm just getting a packet from the supermarket, cooking that in the microwave. I can do that at work, warm my food back up, as long as it's nice warm back up. And then if the rice needs cooking, then that's the same. It's like, that's a few minutes. So when everyone else is running out for lunch, before they've even got to where they're going, even if it's close, you're sat down eating your food, which is cost less. It's easier to prep. Now you've got a lunch break. That's a better option. It's a better option than going out for lunch. But it's getting people used to it, and some people have got, especially in the offices. I know some of you guys have a bit more hassle with people just being not understanding of the fact that I'm bringing food with me. What's wrong with me? I'm bringing the Tupperware. Almost like you're mocked for bringing the Tupperware. It's just stupid. It's like just being prepared. I obviously know I need food. I don't want to eat junk food. So, sorry, Nick, that was a very, very long-winded answer to your question there.
That's all right.
Protein, how to get more protein in. Eat protein at every meal is the way to answer. And then obviously if you can't, then you could eat more later in the day and try and just get it in for the day. But ideally we're trying to have protein evenly spaced for the day. So amino acids are getting digested all day and put to where they need to go. And we're not then having loads in one go, because there's no storage for amino acids. They just literally go in, do their job, and then sort of pass back out. Whereas like fats and carbohydrates is a little bit more stored. So obviously the carbohydrates get stored in the muscles. Protein doesn't really work the same way. So that's why it's better to the proteins across the day. Carbohydrates you could actually manipulate and just have them on training to increase performance if you wanted to. But then it's quite boring. I like having carbs last thing on my last meal before I go to bed. So that's a factor. It might be optimal to have them just around training, pre and post training. You'll probably have a better workout. But I want some before I go to bed. So that also makes a lot of people a hell of a lot happier and they sleep better. So if that's the case, that's also a valid reason to put them at night time and you separate them out. So it's just understanding the depth of things. Is anyone else got any questions? Make it a good one. You've got all the knowledge in the world in front of you. Use it. There must be some questions. Anything you've struggled with in the past? Anything you're struggling with at the moment? Anything you'd like to know more about? Anything? Pete, how are you feeling at the moment? You still on the treadmill? You feeling motivated?
I've actually just left. I'm at home now.
How long did you spend on the treadmill?
It's 45 minutes. That was the plan. It's the beginning, for week 1 of my Ironman training. So 45 minutes.
When's the Ironman again? When's this next one?
It's Bolton at the end of June. It's only a half Ironman. So I'm not going to do a full one. That's crazy.
What, I'm doing a full one?
Yeah, way too far.
I think you should at one time, just to test it. To test the limits.
It's a 4K swim.
It is nuts, but honestly, from my pursuits in bodybuilding, I've discussed this with that gay guy who was in love with me. Because he said about doing a bodybuilding show, and the fact it pushed him to do something harder than he'd ever done before. But what you gain from that is massive. It's not about it's annoying with bodybuilding because people think, oh, well, if you don't win, what's the point? Well, you're not going to win the damn Ironman, are you? But well, what's the point of anyone competing in the Ironman who's not winning? Because it's about you. It's about testing your physical limits and seeing what you're physically and mentally capable of. Because I know that I was weak, lazy, undisciplined. I was the opposite to me now. And the thing that's hardened me the most was putting myself through them damn bodybuilding shows. Because it was my choice. It's your choice to decide, man. You don't have to do it. No one's got to put a gun to your head. You're saying, I'm choosing to be uncomfortable and miserable and put myself through this torture because it's hard. That is the reason. Because it's hard, it's challenging. And because I do shit that's hard when I don't want to do it, I gain self-respect. I gain self-belief.
And also I can fit into my nice clothes in the summer as well. So that's
and you can use it as an excuse to diet as well. But like I said, honestly, because it's not just one time, it's a progression over time. And then once you get to that place of, like in 2021, I thought, right, I'm going to do this 2-week show. And it was a Sunday night. I'd had a bad weekend eating loads of food. And I looked at my diary and it was like a party event the next week. My brother was competing the week after, and then 3 party events weeks in a row. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do this show. I'm in okay shape. Let's see how lean I can get in 2 weeks. And it was the hardest thing I've ever put myself through. But I put myself through. It was hell. I'd wake up every day with anxiety because I had an hour's bike to do in the morning, 20K steps, an hour's bike at nighttime, and training for 2 hours, 5 days, and PT and people standing on my feet. And it was just hell. I'd put off the bike at the nighttime because I'd have anxiety about the fact I've got to go and get on that bike for an hour. And I just want to lie down. I'm so tired. Everything hurts. And it's every day. I was exhausted after day 1. But I'll tell you what, I didn't mentally break. It's like to physically break down, but mentally I didn't break. So at that point, what else could you go on and achieve? What else is going to challenge you? Because I did prep the next year and I just laughed. He went, we've got cardio 5 days a week. I was like, is that it? I've done 14 sessions a week before, an hour at a time. You can't, there's nothing gets you through the night time. You can't have a coffee and have some stimulus because you go to bed afterwards. It's just hell from the minute you start. You are in it for an hour. You can't go any faster. You just got to learn to control your mind and just keep going and keep going and keep going. But like I said, what you gain from it is what most people will never have in their entire lifetime. And it's true self-belief that I can get through this. Tough times come, I've got this. I've just put myself through that shit out of choice because it was hard. So life throws a test at me. Just got to do it. Or
Chris, I've got to run. Enjoy the rest of your time in Mexico. Thanks for doing these sessions and have a good 2024, guys.
Thanks for coming.
See you later.
Take
care, guys.
Anyway, guys.
All right. See you in a bit.
See you later, guys. I'm going to finish in 2 minutes. So like I say, it means you feel almost unstoppable sometimes because you know that you can get through stuff. We had this like 2-hour walk back from that first event. And I was like, hey, I've done steps where I feel like my knuckles dragging on the ground because I'm so tired that everything hurts. All I want to do is stop. And I can barely even stand up, but I carried on putting one foot in front of the other. When you push yourself to those limits, that's why I said, Pete, if you do a full one, the lengths you have to go there, you're going to have to go to a different place mentally to push through. But when you then gain that, you are able to achieve anything in your life. Because when other people go, oh, today's really hard, you're just going, well, I'm used to getting up and doing something that's tough because it's required for the goal. And it's not always fun, but it's fucking required. And I've got something I want to achieve that's hard. So unfortunately, not every day is going to be fun. And not every day I'm going to want to do it. And not every day I'm going to have the energy. But when I've been doing this stuff out of choice that's hard, I'm going to keep going because that's where I want to go. That's where I truly want to go. And that's why most people don't achieve the goals because they don't have that in them. But it can be built. I was not that. I was the opposite. I was a weak, lazy person. I used to get someone to drive me up the road to my mum and dad's house. It's a 10-minute walk on a slight incline. But I was too lazy to walk up. Now I could run up it with a smile on my face. In lockdown, we chose to walk to supermarkets so we would walk and get activity. It's like, well, this is the same person. Just that's how much you can change. And that's why I try and spread my message more of like, look, this is where I started. I was as far back as you could possibly be. I was a proper loser. And now I'm doing pretty well. I would say I'm in pretty good shape. I'm doing quite well in my life. And I got here on my own. So it just took an unnecessarily long amount of time. So my goal is to get people there a hell of a lot faster because we already know how to do it. And that's literally been the goal. That's been my career. I want to be able to do this so other people don't struggle so much and they don't have to go through the trial and errors that I've done. We've already done them. Fuck that. We'll just literally go. So, I mean, Jake, some of the stuff I taught you was stuff that took me nearly 10 years to learn on my own. But it's still relatively basic. It's just that's how long it takes when you're doing every single thing on your own because you've got to just make loads of mistakes and just try everything. to figure out what works. Whereas when you've got someone that's already done that, you just leapfrog through. So I'm going to stop on that note, guys, because otherwise I'm just waffling too well. But I just wanted to try and explain that in full depth, because that's a good way to finish, is to gain control of your physical and mental state so much so that you can go on to achieve any goals that you want in your life. And it starts with physical fitness. When you start pushing yourself in the gym, it extends out to the rest of your life with self-confidence, self-belief, and you will start to not shy away from challenge. And then in the end, you start to lean into challenge and go, I'm going to go do that because I'm going to grow from it in some way. This is exciting. This is going to be hard. Let's do it. This is where most people quit, and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to push through, because I know on the other side is absolute bliss when I cross that finish line on the Ironman or on the bodybuilding show and it's done. I go, oh my God, I wanted to quit that so many times. That was awful, but I didn't. And I'm so proud of myself because I'd never quit. I never let it beat me. And all I wanted to do was quit every single day. And I chose to do it. I could have quit at any time, but I stuck it through. And that's what most people in the population will never, ever do. And that is where we can gain an advantage no matter who we are, no matter if we're smart or rich or poor or where we're born. That determination to not quit when it gets hard is the thing that will separate success and non-success. So this is why I'm pushing you guys. We need to be better. But guys, on that note, thank you all for sharing this time with me. This has obviously been a big thing for me as well. I've never done anything like this. Obviously, it was badly planned because I was ill, but it was supposed to be a lot bigger. If I'd planned it properly, would have a lot more people want to benefit from it. But that's why I said, share it to people. Everything's going to be in the drive. I'm going to put it on YouTube as well, and then people can watch back and they can hopefully find this at the stage they need it, and it's exactly what they need to hear to start actually moving forward and doing something with their damn life. Pete, you okay? You look a bit exhausted there. There we go.
Nah, it's fine. I already stormed it.
Right, guys. I love you all. Thank you all for coming. It's been really appreciated.
All right.
Hope you're all taking a lot.
Cheers, Chris.
Like I said, I'll send the template over. So if you want to program your own stuff, you can. But obviously, if you also want to ask me questions.
Yeah, it's been very, very educational, Chris.
And don't forget, I still do consultation calls as well. So we can always jump off consultation calls just to go through. If it was like, okay, I don't want coaching, but I've got some questions, we'll jump on and we'll go through those as well. So there's loads of different options for us to do. But guys, thank you. I will see you all soon.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Chris. See you later, mate.
Take care, guys.
Cheers. See ya.
Bye-bye.